Sometimes you do things in life, one thing just click and you just like, this was my purpose on earth. And I think powerlifting at the moment is my purpose.
Quasiment toute ma vie, mais je pense que les valeurs personnelles que je porte aujourd'hui, je les ai grâce à ce sport-là.
People always try to predict what will happen based on what you see in training. I have potential to do it, but what matters is the platform.
The hard work really paid off, and I'm proud of myself. I'm hungry for more.
I'm looking to push everything now. I'm going to be training like a madman.
What are you 100% sure you can lift today?
It means the world to me, really. I don't see myself doing anything else than powerlifting at the moment.
Good morning and welcome to the 2026 European Open Classic Powerlifting Championships here in St. Julian's, Malta. And the energy is high after that intro video. Wow, we are in for such an exciting week. I am Amelia Potter, joined by Alexander Nordun. Good morning.
Good morning. How are we feeling, Amelia?
Oh man, after that video, I am hyped up to say the least. This
Yeah,
is
me
going to
too.
be a great week. And this morning we have the 47s and the 59s. And I hear France are coming in hot this morning.
We might sweep the floor this morning. We might.
It's a big claim. It's a big claim. Let's see if they can now live up to that you've given them.
It's looking like a stacked 47 class, 12 lifters, but only 5 in the 59s.
Yeah, that's going to be a quick turnaround. And I'm wondering is that the number that then they'll add a minute after the attempts? They might do.
It should be.
So they'll get an extra minute, but still, even with 6, that is a fast turnaround. So it'll be interesting to see how they handle that. Of course, if it happens to anybody, the lighter body weight lifters usually can recover a little bit faster. So we'll see how that impacts them.
Surely it's going to play a role. Maybe it might change the gameplay a bit. Would you go for bigger jumps in that instance?
They have to adapt and adjust on the day to how they feel. Some might train that quickly, some may take longer rests. First up, however, as you said, 11 47-kilo lifters, and kicking us off from Georgia, Mariam Chechklache with 90 kilos on the bar.
That's quite a range of openers in the 47s from 90 to 137.5.
Yeah, huge range there. And, each one of these ladies coming in with a different discipline they probably favor. Looks like perhaps deadlift for Mariam. Lovely deep squat.
And the very first squat of this European Championship is a good one.
Yeah, and that's quite a weight to bear, knowing you're coming out not just first in your weight class, but, first in the whole championship. So handle that pressure immensely well.
Yeah, everything's gold. The bar, the platform, even the crowd, and you get 3 white lights. That's a good way to start.
Now, hometown hero Melina Marinova from Malta, 97.5, and we're going to have 2 Maltese lifters in this flight, and I imagine to see a big cohort of them here at the European Championships on home soil. 97.5, 10 kilos below her best squat. Very quick in and out of the hole.
Yeah, that's PD. 3 white lights, a good lift. I think she almost tilted forward. Too much speed out of the hole could cost you your balance, so you want to be paying attention to that.
Marie Beglarashvili from Georgia. 100 kilos, 90 kilo squat PB for her. So already opening 10 kilos above her best. The bar is loaded. Seen quite a few Georgian athletes floating around the venue, so looks like they're bringing a sizable team as well.
Yeah, and I think we're going to see them all week long because they have someone competing in the very last group of the last flight.
Of course. Beglarashvili here with that 100 kilos, a huge personal best on her opener.
Yeah.
Oh, a little bit of trouble here. The center referee telling her just to re-rack.
Yeah, I think she was not standing erect properly. Knees not fully locked out, but 20 more seconds to receive the command sounds doable.
Yeah, just has to keep her head screwed on. She has about 11 seconds left. Get that command. That's when the clock will start, but the referees are not putting their hands down.
I mean, the knees are not locked out, especially
Yeah.
that left one. So that's not happening for our opener.
Yeah, and unfortunately, that is a no lift. The head referee goes over to the team saying, look, you're just not in the upright position. That's why they weren't getting the start command. So hopefully that 10 kilo PB isn't too taxing for her, because she's going to have to try it on her second with a bit of extra nerves.
And the thing is, it doesn't look up for negotiation because all three refs had their hands up.
Another hometown hero here, Maria Ferrugia from Malta. 107.5 on the bar. Of course, travel not being too much of a factor here. I think it takes about 40 minutes to get from one side of the island to the other.
Maximum. Nice and controlled.
Yeah, you said it. Lovely, well controlled, well executed opening attempt. And a good lift.
Loaded to 110 kilos for her opening lift.
We now have Oksana Motrynchik from Ukraine opening at 110 kilos, just 2.5 kilos off her best squat.
And we could see the spotters adjusting the rack. She's opted to go with inner arms in the rack. Why would lifters opt for that, Amelia?
It definitely varies. With the bigger lifters, they sometimes like to grab outside, but of course that is not the situation here. With small lifters, sometimes just a preference if they feel like they clip the rack a lot. 2-1, a good lift. She does get a depth call from that right side referee. We'll have a look at that again in the replay. Alex, as a coach yourself, why would you say a smaller, lighter weight lifter rather, would have their squat rack in?
I think just a matter of not clipping the rack. It throws you off balance, and with you being a small weight yourself, it is difficult to recover.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. Nicola Murray now from Great Britain, 112.5 kilos. 10 kilos below her best squat.
I mean, she has all to play for today. She's nominated 7th on the outside looking in at the podium because it is stacked from 7th to 4th. If someone drops the ball, she'll be in the hunt.
Absolutely a long day ahead yet for Murray. Let's see how this opening attempt moves. Oh, that is a lovely squat. Very well controlled. The speed seemed good, but she does get a depth pull from that right-hand side. So let's have a look at that again in the replay. And Alex, tell me what you think of this.
I think that's friendly fire from GB to GB. That red is coming from Sabrina down, so they're not playing favorite here.
No, this is the side she gets the red from, and from an unbiased, if you could believe it, opinion, it looks like good depth to me. So it looks like the jury aren't touching it. They're not discussing it.
Yeah, I would agree, but keep in mind that the refs are much closer than we are, and it's also a game of angles.
We now have Paula Santos Mediavilla from Spain, 115 kilos.
Three white lights, very comfortable opener.
Now we have Suhana Boswilliam from Netherlands.
She needs a personal best to be in the race for the podium, but she's looking strong based on that opener.
Suhana Voskulin from the Netherlands out next, and a podium contender. Like you said, a very stacked class. She'll be looking to hold on to that podium position. Lots of people attacking from behind, looking for that bronze spot. Has a best of 128. I imagine to be a Dutch national record. Still a junior. Sinks it deep into the hole.
Yeah, three white lights, a good lift. In the long run, of course, looking at the podium, but based on that opener, she could be looking at a squat medal too.
Yeah, absolutely. A couple names in there to fight for that squat medal for, but really sinks it in. Hopefully that doesn't tank her too much as it gets a bit heavy. If that's the way she normally squats, there shouldn't be an issue.
The thing is, you don't want to sink your first squat and then squat any higher up, because it's going to look different in the eyes of the referees.
Yeah, absolutely. We're looking for consistency, but we do see a lot of lifters who go one way or another, squat a little too high on their opener or a little too deep, but she seems very comfortable with that. Shivari Karnik from Great Britain, 122.5 kilos, in a really strong position for a squat medal, and has been competing for less than a year. So this is just 5 kilos below her best, so the rate of progression really is quite unknown for Shivari right now.
Interesting. Could be a dark horse too in the race for podium.
Absolutely. We've seen the lifters come in and hit PBs on all three lift and push onto the podium. Let's see how Karnik does here with her opening attempt.
I think she does just fine.
Yeah, that is a beautiful squat. So well controlled.
She looked very experienced out there on the platform with less than a year of competitive experience.
Absolutely right. She looks like an absolute veteran with the way she handled that opening attempt, and a picture perfect form, really.
Yeah, great display of technique. Was super comfortable.
Now a name that we very much recognize here in the 47s, Marta Scuderi from Italy. She's opening at 132.5, which is only 2.5 kilos below her best, which is very close for somebody who's been competing as long as she has, and I'm hoping that means a lot of progress rather than the Italy coaches perhaps choosing a high opener, which we have seen from some coaching before.
Yeah, we have.
And let's hope that's not the case here for Scuderi, as she is fighting for not just a podium position, but she can chase the tail of her bow.
Yeah, possibly. She want to establish space with that opener.
The weight's not an issue.
That's not a greedy opener. It's very reasonable to the one. A good lift. A red coming from the left-hand side this time.
Yeah, and I have to say, I was a little worried watching it live about the depth. We got a white on the side with sat on. And I'd say it's definitely borderline, but enough on the good side, it seems, so you wouldn't want to go any higher. What do you reckon?
The thing is, her elbows could be getting in the way of viewing proper depth. I think she's fine based on that replay. And the rules for the jury is if the fault on the platform is egregious, you overturn it. If it's 50-50, it goes in favor of the lifter. So I don't think she's threatened by an overrule here.
No, absolutely not. The jury aren't discussing it whatsoever. So I think she's hit the sweet spot with her squat there. Although, of course, with one red, she just wants to make sure that doesn't turn into 2.
Yeah, don't go for a 10 kilo drop.
Yeah.
Just add another 5 and make it happen.
Now our final opener and the favourite to win today, as we were saying before, Team France's Inès Herbeau from France, of course, 137.5, nominated in first with a personal best of 150.
How does she look on the day?
Wow.
Yeah, that's speedy. I know she's had to cut a little bit of weight, but she doesn't seem too impacted by it. 3 white lights in solid opener.
Yeah, a really nice opener. And I think at first glance you can worry a little bit about the depth pitch just because it's so narrow. You can see here that she hits it. I don't think she's going to want to go higher than that. I really do think it's just on the line, but it's so strong. And that leaves us heading into the second round with Bar Beglashvili with a squat on the board. But Inez is looking extremely strong. I think both heaviest and easiest opener of the lot.
Yeah, I would agree. But the thing is, you mentioned that Mata could be trailing elbow. She's going to be looking for that same exact squat in the second round. So elbow does not want to miss.
Tech Kladze from Georgia, 97.5. 7.5 kilo jump to match her personal best. Still moving well there for Miriam.
I mean, on a 90 kg squat, that was a very big jump. Still looking at easy work. I'm expecting another 5 probably.
Yeah, it's still moving really well. Like you said, a 7.5 kilo jump is pretty sizable for a 47 kilo lifter, and it's still moving well. 5 kilos seems like it would make sense to me. Now, Marie Beglashvili from Georgia just didn't get the start command last time round. She got told to re-rag and then timed out. Referees just not happy with how upright her position was. So she just needs to really stand up straight and exaggerate that position just for a moment. She can go back afterwards and this time gets that start command. And it moves well, but I have to say I'm a little concerned otherwise. But no, 2-1, a good lift. Alex, what do you think?
I think in terms of strength, we now know that this 100 kg opener made sense, but it's still iffy in terms of standards. Jury's looking at it because they know she's been sent off the platform last time around. They seem to be shaking their head, but they all need to come to an agreement inside the jury to overturn the lift. The thing is, chief referee is going up to the jury to enforce what he tried to signal with that yellow light, but jury seems unfazed. The lift will stand.
Which means everybody is now on the board, and we move on to Malta's own Marlena Marinova, 102.5, a 5 kilo jump. Oh, that is tough, a big fight, and it seems like perhaps 5 kilo was a little too much there.
Could have been. We mentioned that she looked to almost tip forwards with her opener. With more weight, she sinks really hard at the bottom and is not able to recover proper bar positioning. The bar rolls forwards, she's not able to push through.
Yeah, and a part of me thinks that it's got to be partially mental as well, you know, being on home soil, trying to lift more than you've lifted before in this environment. Oksana Merchanchik now from Ukraine, 115 kilos, a 5 kilo jump for a 2.5 kilo personal best. And she's just on prognosis off of the podium in 4th, looking to chase Voskulin. Manages to stand it up. I'm going to wait for the lights here, Alex. Yeah.
Yeah, but you picked that up live. I think I saw the same thing. 2-to-1, no lifts, double reds for depth.
We'll have a see here again in the replay. This is the angle from the center and side that got the reds, and it does look a little bit better there, I have to say, but not convincing enough, I think, for the jury to get involved.
Yeah, I would agree. It does seem borderline. And with double res, I'm not expecting the jury to intervene.
The board is loaded for
Maria Ferrugia from Malta now taking a whopping 10-kilo jump to 117.5, and you mentioned 7.5 being pretty sizable for a 47, so 10 kilos really also just topping that and very close to her personal best as well. Her opener looked good. Was it a 10-kilo jump good, Alex?
I don't know. She seems to be approaching the bar with lots of confidence, so I would love to say yes, and if I say otherwise, I'm gonna jinx the lifter, so we'll wait and see.
Wow. Slight pause in the middle, but altogether very strong looking second attempt.
So it was indeed 10 kg good, but is she good for a third now?
I think it would have to be a 2.5 kilo jump in my opinion. 5 could be 60-40 maybe whether she got it, but we'll see how that 10 kilo jump impacts her energy wise.
Yeah, and I'm gonna be honest, 60-40 is being generous.
I like to be generous. Nicola Murray from Great Britain, 117.5, a 5 kilo jump. 5 kilos off her personal best. If this moves well, perhaps looking to match that here on the international stage. Certainly moving the weight around with authority.
Yeah, that's authority for sure.
Yeah, and keeps that great form that we saw on her opening attempt. Actually, quite a good few lifters here in this flight with some great squat form.
Yeah, no technical breakdown, it just slows down because more weight, so that makes sense. She might go for a 5. I think if she wants to be safe, she's gonna go for a 2.5, but she might be able to squeeze 5.
Paula Santos Mediavilla from Spain, 122.5 kilos, a 7.5 kilo jump, and just half a kilo off her personal best on squat. Unrack looked very comfortable for her. And so did the squat.
Okay, we're looking speedy on the platform. 3 white lights, a good lift. But is she the type of squatter to be fast until she fails?
I suppose we might find out on the third. But that was a tremendous second attempt. So speedy.
Yeah, convincing enough for at least another 5, maybe a 7.5.
The board is loaded for Netherlands.
Suhanna Voskulen now from the Netherlands, looking to hold on to that bronze overall, and currently in squat. Every kilo will count for her as she now takes 130 kilos, 2 kilos above her personal best.
That does not move like a personal best. 3 white lights, a good lift, and being in personal best territory by the second attempt with that kind of room is very interesting in the long run for podium race.
Yeah, you can see here how tight in her elbows are, the mobility she has there, and how well that squat moves.
Yeah, would you consider that elbow drive?
Man,
The way she tucks in her elbows.
it's impressive.
Yep.
The board is loaded for
And speaking of not looking like a personal best, based on Shivari Karnik's opener, 130, which would be a 2.5 kilo personal best. I would expect to move in a similar fashion.
I can only agree with you.
And let's hope that is the case. The 122.5 was textbook, especially for a lifter who's been competing for less than a year.
Yeah, she's looking like the most experienced beginner ever. I want to see that same exact squat. Don't want to see the nerves get to her whatsoever. Very poised, taking her sweet time to stabilize that bar.
Definitely tougher, but still, what a lovely squat.
She's looking good. Of course, that bar is going to offer some more resistance in the second round, but she's still looking good.
And she battles the resistance, like you said, of a lifter with far more experience.
Nicely done.
And our penultimate second attempt here. Coming out, we have Marta Scuderi from Italy. Just readjusting the rack there. Moving 5 kilos up from her opener to 137.5 for a personal best. And for the time being, as she is lighter than her bow, to move into squat gold, their bow to follow.
Wow, that is surprising based on the opener. But this is what another 5 can do to your squat in that light of a weight class.
Yeah, and as we mentioned before, especially with that opener being around that personal best mark, there's a lot of things that come into play. The size of the jump, the weight, and the mental aspect of hitting a personal best.
Do you think there's a chance she gets it in the third round?
I do think there's an absolute chance, but it would be the grind of a lifetime, and we'll see what that does to her energy-wise. Inez Obo from France, 142.5 kilos, a 5 kilo jump. Now, arguably had the quickest opener as well as the heaviest of the whole group. Let's see what an extra 5 kilos does for her here.
Yeah, I mean, as of right now, the junior world champ is cruising below her personal bests. Almost seemed to pause there at the bottom.
Yeah, her hips shot back a bit, but it really didn't slow her down too much. And you can see as she comes off, she knows something wasn't particularly right. But if we watch it back, bar that, the speed stayed more or less consistent, even though she knows it wasn't her regular form.
Yeah, but I don't think that justifies jumping to your personal best. You add another 2.5, another 5, just to collect some kilos, try and already secure the biggest subtotal possible, because she's the clear favorite.
Yeah.
She does not want to miss. It's hers to lose.
And it did work in her favor that Scuderi missed that second, took the pressure off a little bit, but as you said, you don't want to start taking risks this early on. Mariam Chechkladze from Georgia, 102.5, a 5 kilo jump.
She dropped down very hard into the hole, but manages to stand up. 3 white lights, a good lift. That's 3 for 3 in the squat event.
Yeah, really lovely first attempt there. Let's have a look at that again in the replay. Almost a weightlifting style squat there.
Yeah, almost.
Melina Marinova from Malta, and you can hear the hometown crowd cheering her on. We've got signs there for her, egging her on for this 102.5, which she just didn't manage to grab in the second round. As you said, Alex, it seemed like she tipped forward a bit on her opener, got it, but then just couldn't really push through on her second. Let's see if she can tighten it up here for a final attempt.
Yeah, that support is going to come in handy. She's going to need it. Oh, much better.
Wow. And that is the type of turnaround we want to see. Heart of a lion.
Yeah, much better. Stands slightly more upright, maintains her back angle, and is able to push through.
For a 7.5 kilo jump and a new personal best attempt. Boys loaded.
Marie Beglarishvili from Georgia had a bit of a sticky start to squats, missing her opener. She just didn't get that start command. Managed to come out and get that 100 kilos on her second, and now jumping 7.5, which I imagine is her planned second, and I think probably a sensible decision to take that route, just get those kilos. Yeah, and it's still so incredibly comfortable for her, as you would expect.
So do you think that was the planned second?
Yeah, I definitely think that's the planned second. She does get a depth call from this side, but in terms of strength-wise, it looks like that was a second. It looks like it could have been less than a second, actually. But, you know, after missing your opener, it doesn't necessarily seem worth the risk at this point to go for the planned third or even in between. Oksana Mrochenchik from Ukraine, retaking 115 kilos here.
Just needs a tad bit more depth. From afar, it looks just about the same, but this time it's 3 white lights, a good lift, so she gets it to the 1, a good lift.
Sometimes it's a case of just a stitch lower, yeah, and it looks good and convincing them a little bit more. Great job. 7 lifters left in this round of squats before we head through to the 59 kilo class. Maria Ferrugia from Malta, 120 kilos, and as you suspected, Alex, taking that 2.5 kilo jump here after the 10 kilo jump, which is an interesting technique, but some lifters just feel like they have one big jump in them and then have to push through at that top end.
But I must say she's still walking out very confident, way more energized.
That's the number.
You expected the grind of a lifetime. 2 to 1, a good lift. 1 yellow coming from the front.
The yellow from the center referee, I think he just didn't think her thumbs were around the bar, which is hard to see from this angle, but it doesn't look like they are. The jury is looking at it, but
yeah, she's opening her palms on the way up, but I think she maintains contact with all of her fingers. Difficult to judge the thumb from that angle.
yeah, jury are discussing it, but it seems like they're happy to move forward. Murray from Great Britain now, 122.5, a match personal best, going for that 5 kilo jump and looking to pick up that match PB on the international platform. Lovely indeed, sticks with it. Yeah, gives it a nod. That is a great third attempt.
That's one impressive third attempt. Nice way to stay with the bar.
Yeah, fantastic job from Murray there. Good lift.
127.5 kilos over and beyond her long personal best. The bar is loaded for Spain.
Paula Santos Mediavira from Spain, 127.5, a 5 kilo jump from her second for a new personal best.
Can she maintain that same speed? What type of squatter is she? Well within personal best territory with that squat.
It seems like it was just great attempt selection and great execution. And it's 3 white lights, a good lift.
Yeah, you can clearly imagine that with 2.5 more, she would have stopped.
And now we're coming down to the last 4 lifters.
Great execution there.
Speed can be deceiving. This is not the only factor you want to look at as a coach.
And it is loaded with 135 kilos.
Suhana Voskylin taking a 5 kilo jump. And this will move her into squat silver from bronze for the time being. Karnik to follow at a heavier body weight. So if she gets this, she at the very least secures the bronze in squats. And absolutely bullies that through a fantastic third attempt.
So she improves her squat by 7 kgs. That's a lot.
Yeah, and like we said, looking to defend that bronze overall, and so far doing a phenomenal job of it. If she has a great day and continues to do so, and Scuderi makes another miss or so, she could even push for that silver.
100%.
Certainly building the gap between third and fourth at this point. Currently sat in fourth is a bit of an unknown in Shalvari Karnik from Great Britain. 135, looking for a new personal best. This will move her into squat bronze for the time being, with Scuderi to follow.
She was nominated 5th. As of right now, she's forecasted 4th. She's catching momentum.
Yeah, we do not know where she'll end up today, and that is exciting to see a new lifter come in with new numbers.
Once again, the same exact setup, just what we want to see. Still looking poised.
Let's see what she can do with the grind here. And not really needed. That is a great third attempt from Karnik. A good lift and moves into squat bronze for the time being.
I mean, she was already a powerlifter in another life. That's the only explanation I have. Great display of technique once again. No breakdowns. Just, that's a proper squat.
Yeah, and it makes me excited to see what she will bring on the bench and the deadlift as well. Marta Scuderi coming out with something to prove here, looking to take back squat silver, knocking Karnik off the squat medal podium, retaking 137.5, and she just couldn't stand it up last time. Was it a physical or a mental aspect? Let's find out now.
Yeah, a much needed squat, an answer to Karnik.
And it's a completely different squat.
You thought she had a chance.
Yeah, and it did seem to me that she got in her head on that second attempt. She does get a depth call, which we'll watch here in the replay, but like we said, she came out way more focused.
Yeah, that squat is going to stand, so that's a personal best after 7 years of squatting on some of the biggest platforms. That's a good achievement.
Yeah, and knocks Karnik off of the squat podium and gains those extra 5 kilos to defend silver from Voskylin. And our final squat here, we have Inès Aubert from France, 147.5. Like you said, looking to pick up the extra kilos, not going for a personal best now, trying to keep that lead. If she gets this on prognosis, 20 kilos ahead of Scuderi moving forwards. And that looks much more like her squat.
Yeah, that's solid. That is super solid. 3 white lights and the gold medal. This squat event over the 47s for Inès Aubert.
And that's why it's so important for the lifter to know themselves and the coach to know the lifter, because you were saying, you know, it wasn't convincing enough on her second to give her that 5 kilo jump, but clearly she knew exactly what went wrong. And she said, look, I've got this. And she proved to her coach, herself, and us that she did. And heading into the next flight, we have in squat bronze in the 47s for Voskylin with 135 on body weight ahead of Karnik. In silver, Italy's Scuderi 137.5, and in squat gold with 147.5, France's Inès Aubert.
Yeah, France is building a solid 1-2 punch in the 47 with Tiffany Chapuis and Ines Arbo. So now moving on to the 59s, only 5 of them. This is gonna be difficult for these guys. Talk about pace.
Yeah, it's going to be a quick turnaround, and you can see there Garcia with a huge lead on the competition and prognosis, 50 kilos on openers ahead of the rest.
Yeah, the first opener being 175 for Kemal Ergin, and Antoine Garcia will be opening at 215 in just about 4 minutes time.
Very deep.
Yeah, very deep. The thing is, he accelerates all the way down.
Yeah, and it's the style of squat that where he slowed down is exactly where you expect it, because he gets momentum out of the hole and it just slows down as soon as that momentum stops. And I think that's where we'll see the struggle come in as it gets heavier, but for now it is a good opening attempt.
Now from the Gelashvilis family, Georgi, 185. Nominated 4th, forecasted 3rd based on openers.
Comfortable looking opener there for Georgie.
Interesting. Can he make a case for himself in the race for the podium? It's looking stacked. We have a clear favorite, but behind him, Very Smart is the one who can predict the podium.
It would be interesting, you mentioned how quick the turnaround is, and that's the caveat of Garcia having the biggest squat, is that it will be the most taxing for him.
Now Dario Sola, 190, 48 years old, 27 years of competitive experience.
Yeah, has more experience than some of these lifters have been alive.
And that experience shows that's a proper opener. 3 white lights.
Well done. Now we have Jacopo Sant'Angelo from Italy. 192.5 kilos.
And already only 2 openers left. Next up is Jacopo Sant'Angelo, Italy, 192.5.
There will be another minute given to allow the lifters enough rest. The bar is loaded for Italy.
And here he comes. Our speaker in the room just announced that we will indeed have 1 minute of extra rest for our lifters after Antoine's opener.
Arguably, that works more in their favor than if it was a 6-lifter flight, as lifters don't really use the whole full minute. So it actually ends up still very quick turnaround, but better than if it was 6 lifters, I think.
Yeah, I would agree. Especially with such fast spotters. Another solid opener. How about the lights? They're all white. It's a good lift.
Heaviest opener is by Antoine Garcia from France, opening 250.
The nominated 2nd stands his ground with the 2nd biggest opener. Of course, the biggest one belonging to Antoine Garcia from France, the clear favorite of this class. 2022 world champion, multiple time vice champion. 2024, 2025. That class has gotten interesting over the last few years.
Yeah, absolutely. Far more competitive than it once was, and Garcia a stronghold in that class with 10 years of experience.
No troubles in terms of strength. How about the lights? They're all white. Everyone is on the board in the 59s.
Yeah, and you can see that decade worth of experience come through in the way he executes. You can see again here in the replay. So cool, calm and collected. And honestly, perfect depth. You know, he doesn't need to go any lower, and too much higher he'd be out of the realm where we want to see it, but he's found the perfect sweet spot.
Exactly. You don't get any bonus points for extra depth. You want to find that sweet spot that's going to pass every time, but that's going to preserve some gas for you to be able to extract maximum performance as the attempts goes on. So it's already 30 more seconds to go before Kemal again takes this stage once again. 30 seconds for us to thank one of our sponsors, Maniac Fitness, one of the biggest partners of the EPF and the main sponsor of this championship. That provided all of the equipment you can see on the platform: racks, plates, bars, collars. So huge thanks and shout out to Maniac Fitness. Now the clock is ticking down. We're loading 182.5 for Kemal Ergin out of the Netherlands. That's a 7.5 kg jump, 2 kg PB attempt. Was that opener at 175 worthy of that kind of jump, Amelia?
It's hard to say. We don't know exactly how lifters grind through lifts. We did see that slow down in the middle, as we expect to see that as it gets a little bit heavier. So I'm a little bit worried about the middle portion of the squat, but with a lifter we've not seen so frequently, it's quite hard to say. So I'll be very interested to see how this second attempt moves for Kemal.
Yeah, once again, maybe it's the pace of the flight that justifies the jump. We'll see.
Yeah, and there's the slowdown I was talking about, but does a really phenomenal job of not getting bullied around by it, pushing through.
Yeah, very singular style of squatting, but it keeps working in his favor. It's very difficult to gauge how much he has left in the tank when you don't really know him like that.
Yeah, and the thing is, he's got about 4 minutes until he takes his heaviest attempt, give or take. So that has to play a huge factor in the coach's decision on the jump that they choose to make. And I wouldn't really choose to go more than 5 for him, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, I would agree. Now, Georgi Gelashvili also going for a 7.5. That's 192.5 being his second attempt. Sizable PR of 7.5.
Really tidy second attempt. 3 white lights, a good lift, and provisionally moves into the squat bronze position. And Alex, I'd be so interested to find out how much the jumps would have changed if they were in, say, a 10 lift of flight.
That's my question, because I think in that case you're forced to open slightly lower than you would have.
There are some people who do train that quickly, though. You know, they put the new weight on the bar, they wait a minute, and they go. So it'd be interesting to see what that range looked like as well.
Now Dario Sola going for a 10 kg jump, reaching the milestone of 200, one he's hit multiple times in competition before. Still looking fast. Still looking very fast. 3 white lights in good lifts.
And I believe Darius is about 17 and a half or so kilos off his best. So I imagine, again, the turnaround here is affecting the choices they would make, but he's handling it so well with the amount of experience he has. We'd expect to see that.
Now we're loading that same attempt, 200, but adjusting the rack for Jacopo Sant'Angelo, Italy. Stacked for podium, stacked for squat medals in the 59s. it significantly slows down, but to be expected with 7.5 more on his back. I think he has room for a third attempt, but he wants to be smart with what he puts in.
Yeah, absolutely, especially sitting as close to Gelashvili as he is, looking for that silver overall.
Final attempt of the second round, Antoine Garcia, 230 kilos.
Doesn't seem too phased by the quick turnaround with a 15-kilo jump on his back.
The thing is, he squatted 240 kilos in training, but is he going to be able to express that level of performance on the platform with such a short turnaround?
Let's find out. It's a lovely second attempt, Alex.
Yeah, that's 3 white lights, a good lift. What I'm expecting now is a European Open squat record. I think the World Open record at 240 kilos is too risky as of right now, but 233, 235.5.
It'd be interesting to see if and how they take the chip. I was imagining a 7-ish, 7.5 kilo jump would be a reasonable space to go, but they have the, and I've just seen actually the world record of 240.5 go in. You know, usually we'd wait and see, but since we were discussing the scores.
The thing is, he's not feeling pushed by anyone. And he knows he's already qualified for Open Worlds.
And look, we're not saying that's not there. We were just saying what might seem sensible. But like you said, he has such a significant lead of at this moment in time. If he gets that 63 kilos, then, you know, the risk, if it even is that, it seems worth it.
I mean, we're going to have to wait 5 more minutes to see a shot at history, a shot at the record books out of Antoine Garcia. As of right now, it's 187.5 for Kemal Ergin from the Netherlands. And a quick recap, Sola is in second position, Santangelo in provisional bronze. But all of that subject to change with those final attempts.
The board is loaded for Kemal.
Here we go, 187.5 is loaded for Kemal.
Let's go.
So they went for the 5. 182.5 was already a personal best of 2. So in total, that would be a 7 kg improvement on his squat.
Yeah, and the 5 is what we said we'd expect to be the max jump we'd want to see from Kemal. We know where the slowdown will come in. The question is, can he get through it for a third time?
I don't mind him being slow as long as he gets up. Wow, that was the right number. What an effort. 3 white lights, new personal best of 7.
Coach looking a little smug there, and he should do with that number selection. Great execution there from the Dutch lifter.
Yeah, I think time slowed down for everyone during that squat. Next up, Georgi Gelashvili, 200 kilos, jump of 7.5. He'll stay in 4th position in the squat event of the 59s. But that's a massive personal best for him.
Yeah, and he's right on the tail overall of Santangelo.
Keep in mind, he was nominated with 182.5 as his biggest squat. He's now reaching the 200s. He's not only reaching the 200s, he's crushing the 200s. 3 white lights.
Yeah, really phenomenal effort. And the thing is, with all those 3 squats in, and his bench opener and his deadlift opener, already he's hitting the total that he was nominated with.
205 kilos on the bar.
I mean, if I'm Dayo Sola, maybe Jacopo too, I'm looking at my rearview mirrors and I'm feeling the pressure. And talking about Dayo's 205 will be his final attempt. Jump of 5 to guarantee him a squat silver, being the lightest between him and Santangelo. strength and experience required for that final attempt. And he ticks all 2 boxes. That's going to be 3 white lights, guaranteed squat silver for the Polish.
Now we have 2 lifts left. Next is Italy's Jacopo Sant'Angelo, also 205 kilos on the bar.
Final 2 squats, 205 and 240.5. Jacopo Sant'Angelo, Italy, and Antoine Garcia, France. Jacopo almost following the same game plan as Zola, but like we said, is slightly heavier on body weight, so that's guaranteed squat bronze already.
Has looked very steady so far, Jacopo.
With 5 important kilos in the battle for vice champion overall.
And our first miss of this flight, and on strength we know that he got more or less all he could out of the 200. With 202.5 would have been worth it. He still walks away with that squat bronze, but he is in that fight for the silver overall with Galashvili.
And hopefully that was the last fail of the flight, because that next attempt, that final attempt, is a shot at history. 240.5 as a 59 for Antoine Garcia, World Open record attempt. Going all out for his final squat.
We asked ourselves, would he go for that European record? We're trying to figure out the number in between that and the World Open record he'd go for, but he's shot straight for the world record here on his 3rd attempt.
Goosebumps as someone is going to attempt what's never been done at that body weight. History in the making, 240.5 for the French Antoine Garcia.
Oh my goodness,
He's
look
going to
at
stand
that!
up with it. New world record, 3 white lights for Antoine Garcia. He made history here in St. Julian's, Malta.
240.5, he's only just realised he's got the record, and what a way to cap off the squats. I dare say, has he a few more kilos in there next time?
Insane, the best 59 squatter in the world as of right now. We'll see that later on in Lithuania in the year for Open Worlds, because someone's going to have a push for it, and he might have more, like you said. With recap of the podium, in bronze medal is the Italian Jacopo Sant'Angelo with 200. With 205 is the experienced Polish Dariusz Zola, who gets squat silver, and with a new open world record of 240.5, the French Antoine Garcia gets squat gold. Emilia will be back in about 9 minutes time for bench press. See you then.
And welcome back to the 2026 European Open Classic Powerlifting Championships here in St. Julian's, Malta. We are coming back into the bench press event now with the 47 kilo lifters joining us first, followed by the 59 kilo men. You can see the start list here. A wide range of openers from 50 kilos to 85 kilos for Inezabo, who is leading the charge with a 20 kilo lead on prognosis already. She is really making a statement so far.
Yeah, she's established pace, collected all 3 squat attempts, squat goal with 147.5, just shy of her personal best. She's looking strong, and she's a true bench specialist, opening with 85. That's 10 kgs more than the second biggest opener.
Yeah, very similar story to her squat. I think the only discipline where she's not opening out last is deadlifts, and even then she is second or third to last out. 50 kilos on the bar for Malta's Melina Marinova, opening at her personal best.
Very solid opener. 3 white lights and good lift. With those openers, you want to be conservative because you want to get a good feel for the rhythm of our chief ref. He really dictates the rhythm of the movements with all 3 commands: start, press, and rack. You really don't want to do anything unless the chief referee says so.
Mariam Chechkladze from Georgia, 55 kilos, another lifter opening here on their personal best. Comfortable looking press there for Mariam. And a good lift, 3 white lights.
Good lift. Now Nicola Murray from Great Britain. Barcelona, 57.5 kilos for her opener.
We've had a lot of changes to the rules in bench press the last few years, which we'll get into in a little bit. And I'm hoping we don't have to see any examples of them. Nicola Murray from Great Britain, opening at 57.5 kilos, 2.5 kilos off her best bench.
Three white lights, another solid opener. Hoping to see a lot more of that with 8 more openers to go.
Suana Voskulen from the Netherlands. 65 kilos on the bar, 8 kilos below personal best.
So we're gonna bring out the blocks.
She's had a phenomenal squat session, personal best of almost 8 kilos.
And strongly holding on to for the time being that third overall. A long day ahead of her, but in a great position to keep it so far.
Very explosive off the chest. 3 white lights, a good lift. And she's opted to go with blocks to optimize her leg drive. Why would lifters do that? Is it a question of leverages only, or it could be something else?
Yeah, I think it depends the lifter. Some lifters have shorter legs and some just try to get a little bit of extra leg drive from that position. Different blocks, differing sizes as well they can choose from. Maria Ferrugia from Malta, 65 kilos.
fresh off a new personal best squat, a phenomenal grind. She went 3 for 3, collected every gram, dare I say.
3 white lights, that is a good lift.
Next lifter, Shalvari Farnik from Great Britain, 67.5 kilos on the bar. Bars over.
Shivari Karnik from Great Britain opening here on 67.5 kilos. Already saw a huge personal best in the squat, opening up 5 kilos below her best bench. We said we were looking forward to seeing what she could do here on bench and deadlift, and we're about to find out on one of those. Could she push for a podium position with a perfect day?
I would say bench is slightly more difficult to get a very mature technique. But with the way her squat looked, I'm not betting against her by any means right now. She has a decade of powerlifting experience. She's been lying to us, basically.
3 white lights, a good lift. And you know, we never know how long she's been training behind the scene before she started competing, but if that also matches her experience in competing, then wow.
Yeah, she's looking solid.
Already over and beyond her personal best.
Marie Beglarashvili from Georgia, 70 kilos in the bar, opening 5 kilos above her personal best. Had a tricky start to the squat, not getting that start command. Got it on her second, took her planned second, we imagine, on that third. Strength's not an issue, and let's hope that also remains the case here on bench. Very far down the bench, she starts the press.
But a different scenario as her squat, which is good. 3 white lights with the opener.
Leading on the board with the bench press opener. So now it's time for Marta Scuderi from Italy. Bars loaded.
Marta Scuderi, 72.5 kilos. 2.5 kilos below her personal best, so a very similar story to her squat, opening there and around about her personal best. Managed to come back on her third after missing her second squat. It looks good, a little wonky on the chest, but it didn't seem to phase her too much other than getting that red, unfortunately, for elbow depth. And I think it might be this right elbow, because you can see how wonky she is to begin with.
She has very different levels of internal rotation. Lots of internal rotation on the left, not so much on the right. It looks different at elbow level.
And the jury seem happy enough with it. I think they know it's more of an issue of being wonky than not reaching the depth, it seems. Paula Santos Mediavilla from Spain, 72.5. And a lovely clean opener. Oh, but unfortunately it looks like she might have jumped to command there. Easy mistake to make. Bench has the most commands. We'll have a look from the side, make sure it wasn't any sort of lift. No, there's a lovely bench. She just, I think, jumped the command.
And that's the first interesting call. We're going to have to see if they bump up the attempt still, if they retake it.
Yeah, important to just get a bench on the board, especially with how quick the drop off of strength can be on bench as well.
Yeah, bench can get tricky.
Our penultimate opener here, Oksana Motranchik from Ukraine, 75 kilos, opening at her best bench. Red plates on the bar with the shoes to match.
3 white lights, no troubles with depth nor commands, all good.
Yeah, a good looking opening attempt. In my eyes, I don't know what the lifter bench is like particularly, but seeing that blind, I would see 2.5 kilo jumps in her future.
Yeah, I'll be comfortable with back-to-back 2.5s.
Now our final opening attempt, Ina Sebo from France, 85 kilos on the bar, 10 kilos below her best. The world record standing at 102 and the European also at 102. Junior, however, a little bit lower at 100 and 100.5. And it's very easy.
Yeah, just a very easy opener, maybe to test out how our depth looks on the day.
I could be wrong, but I think all 4 of those records belong to France's own Turbo Tiff, Tiffany Chapon.
Very possible, except maybe one belonging to Jessica Espinal. But she's the real deal as of right now. But a new 47 has emerged on the American side. We'll see that, how they clash at Worlds later on in the year.
For now, let's focus on our European friends here as we head into the second round. All bar Santos Mediavilla with a bench on the board. Nolina Marinova now. 2.5 kilo jump seems like a good decision based on that second. I was a little worried she jumped that rack command.
Yeah, that's what the chief ref seems to be signaling.
I think the head juror is going over to the centre referee to ask what that was for. Yeah, and he was confirming that was what it was for. That's what the jury saw as well. We'll see if that has an impact on their decision.
They're discussing it as of right now.
Yeah, and oh,
they're teasing us.
Yeah, it looks like they were about to. Yeah, there we go. Mariam now 60 kilos. 5 kilo jump for a new personal best. Does get a yellow from the far side referee. So we'll have a look at that from the side angle. But as we said before, Marinova is a no lift.
Very slight glute lifting off the bench.
I don't think it's enough to go against the rule, however. Nicola Murray, Great Britain, 60 kilos in the bar for a match personal best. 2.5 kilo jump. And I'll say it till I'm blue in the face, utilize the 2.5 kilo jump.
Three white lights, a good lift. You could have said that 2.5 is being conservative, but add another 2.5 to that, it could be RP 10. So I'm very happy that she went with the 2.5.
67.5 kilos for her second bench. Do we have some Maltese working here?
Maria Ferrugia from Malta, 2.5 kilo jump to 67.5.
Three white lights, a good lift. She almost collapsed there at the bottom. And I think this is why she might have implemented that belt on her bench technique.
70 kilos, second attempt. Barcelona for Sohala. Let's go.
Hannah Woskulen from the Netherlands, 70 kilos, 5 kilo jump. Just 3 kilos off her best bench.
Three white lights, once again a good lift. She keeps on collecting attempts.
Now it's time for Shabali Kanik from Great Britain. Barcelona.
I don't think she'll be able to surpass her personal best. I think she's going to go for the 2.5. 5 seems a bit ambitious.
Shivari Karnik from Great Britain, however, is looking for a match personal best here on the second, a 5 kilo jump from the opener.
I mean, so far from what I've seen, whatever she puts in, I'm going to say yes. She's going to get it. Oh, come on, keep pushing. No blue lights, it's all whites, a good lift, but nowhere else to go than the 2.5 and maybe not even come out for the third.
Yeah, again, a little bit wonky on the descent there, and I imagine she'll come out for the 2.5 kilos, but as you said, it'll be no more than that, and that did seem like a limit lift.
Yeah, but that right wrist rolled a bit. If she can maintain her angle in the wrist, she might be able to squeeze the 2.5.
Paula Santos from Spain, now 72.5, just skipped the command here. Strength not an issue. Retaking the same weight, definitely sensible. Get that bench on the board, and she did.
So what do they do now? Do they go for the planned second or trying to cover some ground and maybe jump 7.5? I would think 7.5 is dangerous. Let's load up 5 and call it a day. We'll see.
Marie Beglashvili from Georgia, 75 kilos. To move her for the time being into bench press silver with Skuderi, Motronchik and Herbo to follow in the second round. This will be a 5 kilo personal best.
Shaky, but it meets the standards. 2-1, 1 yellow from the left hand side. Was the shaking part coming from the glutes leaving the bench?
Attempting 75 kilos, bars loaded.
I see some glute activation, but I don't see the glutes hovering above the bench.
And the jury seemed pretty happy with that. Marta Scuderi from Italy, 75 kilos, a 2.5 kilo jump. I think as we suspected. Moving her into bench bronze for the time being. Again, the third round of bench to follow. Definitely the right call there with the 2.5 kilo jump, and it is a good lift.
Round 2, Oksana Motronchik, Ukraine is next. Bars loaded. 77.5 kilos for her second bench.
Oksana Motronchik, Ukraine, 2.5 kilo jump to 77.5. Moving her to bench silver, heading into the final round. Bench gold already taken by Urbo with her opener. And it's just a little too heavy there, unfortunately.
No lift unfortunately.
And nowhere really to go there for the third.
From France. Bars loaded, 90 kilos on the bar. Allez.
Her bench opener looked lightning fast. How does that look with 5 more kilos?
Inez Herbo, 90 kilos, 5 below her best. Still very, very speedy. And it is a good lift. 3 white lights. Does a really good job of finding that elbow depth, even with that high arch position.
Once again, I'm not sure if she's going to go for a personal best. I would be happy to see her maybe 2.5 below that. That's what our coach seemed to be, our handler, dare I say, seemed to be signaling as she walked off the platform.
And we head into the third and final round of bench for these 47 kilo ladies. Cheers for Marlena Marinova from Malta, from the hometown. 55 kilos, missed that 52.5, going up for a personal best here on her final attempt.
Oh, it's a grinder. Some down ups. No lifts, unfortunately. Maybe slightly too vertical off the chest. Not 100% on the bar path. No lift this time.
It is now time for Marianne Teslatse from Georgia, Barcelona, 62.5 kilos.
Mariam, 62.5 kilos, a 2.5 kilo jump for a new personal best.
Another grinder, but this one goes up.
And it is a good lift. Yeah, I think that was the perfect number on the day. Not another gram left in that bench.
62.5 kilos for a new personal best attempt.
Nicola Murray from Great Britain, 62.5. Another 2.5 kilo jump here for a personal best.
Much less of a battle than the two previous ones. That's going to be 3 white lights and a comfortable third attempt.
Time has come for Malta's own Maria Baruga. She has a great support through here. Points loaded for Maria, 70 kilos.
Malta's own Maria Ferrugia from 67.5 to 70 kilos, 2.5 shy of her best. I think this is the jump we expected to see from Maria. Let's see if she can execute it.
Just too heavy. That clearly looked like a strength issue on the day.
Yeah, and we're taking the minimal jump without it being a record. We know that she got everything she could have out of that 67.5 in her second attempt. It's also so much harder to grind through a bench press than it is a squat or a deadlift.
100%. And it's also different for lifters that are used to training on a certain type of bench pad, switching to another. I mean, deadlift is more straightforward than bench is, for example.
75 kilos for Suhana Waskulen from the Netherlands. 2 kilo personal best, getting those red plates on the bar for the very first time. And we'll move her into bench press silver for the time being, still with 6 lifters to follow, fighting for those bench medals.
Yeah, I must say, I thought she was going to go for 72.5. She's going the heavy route.
And it pays off.
Oh, yeah. 3 white lights, new personal best of 2. So far she's on a 10 kg PB subtotal.
Yeah, and with Scuderi not having the day I think they imagined she would, there is that wiggle room to push for that silver overall, which I think Team Netherlands are very aware of.
Yeah, on nominated totals, they were neck and neck, only 1 kg separating the two. It's looking like a different scenario now.
Shivari Karnik from Great Britain, 75 kilos, a 2.5 kilo jump. for a new personal best, and that 72.5 was tough. She managed to escape any blue cards, but it went up very incrementally. Let's see if she can get another couple kilos out of her bench. No, and I think, as we would have expected, she did a phenomenal job with the 72.5, but 75 just too heavy today.
Yeah, I think we expected that, but they seemed to think it was worth the risk. She was not going to empty the tank for deadlifts with that final attempt of bench.
Yeah, because bench is so much harder to grind through, you know, usually you fail quite quickly with it, which preserves a little bit of energy at least. 77.5 for Marie Beglarashvili from Georgia to move it into bench press silver. New personal best, should she make this?
She could not transition over the shoulders. No lift.
Unfortunately, should she have gotten that, she would have secured a bench medal, as she would have been the lightest of the 4 lifters to take that. She would have secured bench silver, however, just too much on the day.
Yeah, that's what it comes down to. With elite level lifters, 4 positions separated on body weight.
Oksana Mochenchik from Ukraine, retaking 77.5. Moves her into bench press silver, should she make this. Exactly the same body weight as Santos Mediavira, who is to take this weight as well. But again, just too heavy.
No lift for Ukraine. 3 lifts left, but no more changes for the next group. Marta Scuderi, Italy is next.
The bench sheet turning all red. It was a much cleaner squat event, but this is to be expected. We know that that final bench is a common occurrence being missed.
And it'll be very interesting to see after these next 3 lifters how the men deal with the bench press and a quick turnaround. First, Marta Scuderi taking a 2.5 kilo jump again to move into bench press silver from 4th.
And she needs that.
No, again, another fail, and with Voskulin going 3 for 3 on bench as well, now only separated by 2.5 kilos heading into the deadlift, both opening on the exact same number. Voskulin, the lighter of the 2 lifters.
I mean, that is good for us viewers, but stressful for the 2.
Paula Santos, 77.5 kilos, a 5 kilo jump. Missed her opener, just skipped the command, got it on her second, still very easy. 5 kilos would match her personal best and give her bench silver.
She had to power through that. 2 to 1, a good lift, 1 a yellow from the left hand side. We're gonna take a quick glance at the replay to see if she's at risk of a jury intervention.
There's a lot of wobbling around with the leg drive, but it seemed to remain in contact. And our final bench press, Inez Obo from France, 95 kilos to match her personal best. It's been looking extremely steady, consistent and strong so far. Just 5 kilos below the European junior bench press record. Oh, and it's the first time we've seen her struggle, but she does manage to lock her elbows out. 2 to 1, a good lift. She does get blues from the center referee for, I imagine, downwards movement. Let's have a look at that again on the replay, as the jury will as well.
They've enforced that for down up, the whole bar needs to deep. I think it paused. Did it dip? They're discussing it in the replay. 2 of them seem to agree. Yes, they've overruled it. No lift for Ines Serbo. She does not match her personal best. She drops back to 5 kgs.
Yeah, unfortunate end to the bench press, but still with a significant lead. And in bench bronze for Skrelin, 75 kilos on body weight from the Netherlands. Santos from Spain in silver with 77.5, and Obo from France with bench gold, 90 kilos.
So now we move straight into the 59s. Quick reminder, Antoine Garcia from France collected squat gold with a new open world record of 240.5. But for that record to be registered, he'll need a total. So we'll be paying close attention to his bench opener and his deadlift opener. But as of right now, it's 110 for Jacopo Santoga, the first one to open in the 59s. And the heaviest opener belongs to Georgi Gelashvili with 142.5. Very reasonable opener, 3 white lights, a good lift.
Next, Antoine Garcia from France. 127.5 kilos to open.
Now into the 2022 Open World Champion, Antoine Garcia, 127.5.
Interestingly enough, probably won't even medal in the bench press, but his squat and his deadlift is so impressive that it makes up a lot of ground.
Three white lights, a good lift.
Good lift for France.
You just need one deadlift and he secures his world record squat.
Opening of 130 kilos. Varsågod.
Kemal Ergen, 130 kilos for the lifter representing the Netherlands. Went 3 for 3 in the squat with a nice grinder at 187.5.
Nice smooth looking opener there for Ergen. And a good lift, 3 white lights. Unlike his squat, we see no sticking point off the get-go, although it really didn't end up bothering him too much. He did have a grind of a lifetime, but he went 3 for 3 on squats, and that's what counts.
But I would agree, this type of technique is much easier to read.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now into the Polish Darius Sola, 132.5. Collected squat silver with 205. He has the second biggest opener in the bench press event. Not the softest bench, but very comfortable. 3 white lights, a good lift.
Last opener from Georgia's Georgi Gelashvili, 142.5 kilos. Varsågod.
And now the final opener, a massive one, Georgi Gelashvili, Georgia, 142.5.
Very quick opener there for Georgi, and 2 to 1, a good lift with a yellow from the side referee. We'll see what that is in the replay. Usually it indicates a lift of sorts.
Heels are on the ground. How about the glutes?
Rest. We don't have to load the bar
They
yet.
seem to stay planted on the bench.
Yeah, his foot slid around a little bit, but it didn't lift, so shouldn't really be too much of an issue.
Because there's only 5 lifters in the group.
Yeah, I can't figure out what that was. Maybe the right side ref simply think he missed a command of some sort. I don't know. But as of right now, everyone's on the board and the jury seems happy with everyone's opener. We're gonna see different type of jumps from the first to the second, with Antoine Garcia going for 7.5, just like Elashvili. We're gonna see a 5 for Sola, a 7.5 for Ergin, and a 5 for Vicentagelo. Not very surprising. Hopefully everyone's going to be able to succeed, and we're going to see a battle for medals in the bench press event.
Yeah, absolutely. There are definitely a few different athletes who could end up on the bench press podium with Garcia, Galishvili, Shola, and Ergin. I think the only person guaranteed a medal at this point is Galishvili.
And once again, those medals could very much come down to body weights. Second round starting with 115 for Jacopo Santagalo representing Italy. Almost a false start and then a massive grinder.
It's a good lift, but it's a bit of a tough looking second there.
Very impressive. It's a good lift.
Not sure what happened there, Amelia.
From France.
Yeah, he stalled just off the chest and powered through. Intriguing sticking points.
Yeah, perhaps not hitting his normal touch point, but again, it could be the quick turnaround.
135 for Antoine Garcia, jump of 7.5. That's his nominated bench press. His PB being 140. Three white lights, still reasonably comfortable. Where do you think he goes from there?
He's in a position where he both can take risks or doesn't need to take risk. In the bench press, he's not leading, so I think an equal match could be justified for him.
I think 140 kilos is going to end up being a medal in the bench press event. Now into the Polish Dariusz Wola. 137.5, jump of 5.
Yeah, you say that, but also, like you said, Shola and Ergin, with their second attempts at 137.5, should they go well, you'd imagine that they would end up at 140 at least. And Shola with a lighter body weight than Garcia, we'll have to see how that pans out.
Yeah, but odds are someone's going to miss in the third round. Could be Antoine. Three white lights, he's good for more.
And if they were just, I think if Shola and Team Poland were sensible there, they would take that 2.5 kilo jump to secure that bench medal. As it stands, they're too far away from the podium overall to get an overall medal, so I think secure that bench press medal if possible at that lighter body weight.
$137.5 for Kemal Ergin, the Netherlands. Jump of 7.5. This one matches his PB. That does not move like a personal best.
And 2 to 1, a good lift. Yes, a completely opposite story to how he watches squat move. The centre referee seems to think there's a double press on his chest, but watching that back, it looks fine to me, and the jury agree. Looks a-okay.
Talking about someone who would be a-okay and guaranteed in gold, Georgi Gelashvili, 150. How about the lights? 3 white lights.
Yeah, very comfortable still to close off the second round of bench.
We have a minute's rest. Now, I can also mention
Okay,
that
he
we
looks
have
comfortable, and no one's gonna push for his bench press gold medal. He's gonna be loading 152.5, but those 2.5 could be very important for him in the long run.
Yeah, absolutely. And no one was going to take that bench gold off him anyway. It would have been a huge jump. And even looking at Jola's 142.5, like we said, the sensible decision I think would have been 140 to secure a bench medal. But we'll have to see how it pans out. As it stands, Jola and Ergin both have pushed for a 5 kilo jump. And I think perhaps that is more reasonable for Ergin.
Yeah, medals yet to be established except that gold medal. And in the long run, as of right now, it's Gelashvili forecasted in second position, with Santiago trailing by 5 kgs, forecasted third. It's very stacked. And it's unpredictable with Gelashvili nominated fourth, now forecasted second. Interesting sights in the 59s.
So far, it's all green on the board for the 59 kilogram.
And it is with an all green scoreboard that we are starting the third round with the Italian Jacopo, 117.5. Like we said, not in the battle for a bench press medal, but 2.5 could be the difference between being in or out the podium in the long run.
Just too heavy today and got absolutely everything he could about that 115.
Next up is
Yeah, no regrets. When you go for 2.5 and you miss, you know you do lose out on too many kilos.
Yeah, and although he wasn't in the fight for that bench medal, he is in the fight for a podium position overall and trying to hold Ergin off from the Netherlands, who's currently 10 kilos behind him.
Antoine Garcia, 140 kilos to try and match his personal best in competition. In the past, he's had difficulties aligning the stars, aligning all 3 movements. Usually he was good in the bench and deadlift, but squats were missing. Now he's looking good in both squat and bench. That total could be looking juicy if he scores that attempt. That's slightly too heavy.
Which does mean that he ends up out of the fight for the bench medal, and Shola and Ergin have secured silver and bronze for bench.
Like we said, he was not being pushed in the fight for the title, so he was in a position where he was able to risk it. Darius Sola, 142.5 to try and extend bench press silver.
I stand corrected. It's a very solid third attempt.
Yeah, 2 to 1, a good lift. That is guaranteed bench press silver on body weight.
Two lifters left. Now we have Kemal Ergin from Netherlands.
Because even if Kemal Ergin scores that attempt,
The bar is loaded.
with him being heavier, he'll be in bench press bronze with 142. But a jump of 5 after a second attempt at 137.5 seems very believable. Come on, push it up. 3 white lights. He's 6 for 6 so far. And I think he's collected every kilo because 2.5 more on that right side would have been very difficult.
Yeah, and he's really trying to collect, like you said, every kilo he can. As I mentioned before, 10 kilos behind Sant'Angelo currently. Now, could this sneak up us a little bit?
Georgi Gelashvili, 152.5, jump of 2.5, world junior record attempt. From out of the podium on nominated total to clear vice champion contender. And a world junior record. 3 white lights, it is official. He now needs an attempt in the deadlift to secure it, but that was a surprise.
Yeah, and the 59's really showing up this morning. An open world squat record from Garcia, and there from Gelashvili we see a world junior bench record.
So the podium standings in the bench press in bronze from the Netherlands, Kemal Ergin with 142.5 with that same best attempt but lighter on body weight, Dariusz Rosola from Poland, and with that new junior world record of 152.5, the Georgian Gelashvili collecting bench press gold. So far, it's an exquisite flight. This championship is off to a hot start. We'll be back in 9 minutes time for deadlifts. See you then.
And welcome back to the 2026 European Open Classic Powerlifting Championships here in St. Julian's, Malta. We head straight into the deadlift event now for the 47 and 59 kilo lifters. You can see here the subtotals as they stand. Obo with a ginormous lead there, the 237.5, and followed closely behind each other, Skudarian Voskulen. No one is pushing Obo for that gold, I don't think, today. Karnik just off of the podium, but if we look, including the openers here, Skudarian Voskulen on prognosis, neck and neck, separated only by body weight, where Voskulen is the lighter of the two lifters. It'll be interesting to see how that pans out.
Yeah, it could come down to lot number, body weight. Interesting.
Melina Marinova looking to secure her total with this opening deadlift, 115 on the bar.
Lightning fast.
Secures that total. And for those of you newer to watching and spectating powerlifting, you have to get at least one of each discipline to secure that total. So with that opening deadlift, should they have got a squat and a bench, they're a little safer. Marie Beglarashvili from Georgia, 125 on the bar.
Three white lights, a good lift. She's looking like it's unfinished business. No sign of happiness whatsoever.
130 kilos on the bar, bars loaded for Georgia.
Mariam Kechkatse from Georgia, 130 for her opening attempt.
Another very comfortable first pull. Three white lights.
Now it's time for Maria Farrugia from Malta. Bars loaded, Eyaminen Maria. Maria.
Very comfortable opener there for Maria Farrugia from Malta, 130.
And time for Shabari Kainik from Great Britain. The bar is loaded for Shabari. Let's go.
Shavari Karnik from Great Britain, 135.
So how does her technique look in the deadlifts? She's been looking so mature, so experienced in all two events so far. She's gonna need that deadlift to make a push for podium. Three white lights, a good lift. Is it enough to close a 17.5 kg gap?
It's a bit of a big ask if all three lifters have a good deadlift session. I think Skudarian Voskulen would have to probably make some big errors, but she's definitely going to end up with a mean total, especially comparatively to where she came in with. Paula Santos from Spain, 137.5.
Very explosive in all events so far, and still looking speedy.
3 by 9, deadlift for Spain. Next lifter out, Nicole number from Great Britain. Bars loaded. Let's hear it for Nicola.
Nicola Murray, Great Britain, 142.5, opening 5 kilos below her personal best in deadlift here.
Pretty convincing opener too. Surprisingly slow off the ground for a conventional, but very speedy at the top.
From Ukraine.
Yeah, seems to be working well for her so far. It'll be interesting to see how that looks with a little bit more weight on the bar. Oksana Mochenchik from Ukraine, 145 on the bar. Slow and steady opening attempt there from Oksana, and it is a good lift. Very patient off the floor.
Head ball from France. 152.5 kilos for her opening lift. Bar is loaded.
Ines Obo, 152.5.
Not yet to be a deadlift specialist, but she's been getting stronger in that event. She's opening 2.5 kgs below her PB in comp.
Yeah, no, if all goes well for her, I think she's very likely to also pick up a deadlift medal today. And that is extremely comfortable.
Oh yeah.
3 white lights for France.
3 white lights, a good lift.
And a good lift.
And it would be a really tough job for Voskuilin or Scuderi to even slightly catch up to her. So they're definitely going to have their eyes on each other on that silver position.
The bar is loaded for Italy.
Marta Scuderi from Italy, 155 kilos in the bar. Every kilo matters here in that fight for silver with Voskuilin. Marta, the heavier of the two lifters.
That's one convincing first pull. She knows what she's here for. 3 white lights.
Opener in this group will be by Suhanna Boyskullen from Netherlands. The coaches can request to have the bar brushed at any time during the deadlift session. Bar is loaded for Suhanna.
Suhanna Voskuilin now from the Netherlands, 157.5, our heaviest opener of this flight. Before we head through to the second round, last of these lifters to try and secure their total.
That's also a convincing first pull, but I would say slightly less convincing than Scuderi's.
Has the slight advantage if it remains so that she is pulling afterwards, so she can just try and match those jumps, but we'll have to see how that turns out.
Yeah, that's the only way to go right now. Match the jump. collect the same amount of kilos and count on that body weight to be the edge.
Everybody has secured a total now as we head into that second round of deadlifts, and they can start to push and take a little more of a risk here and there, although I wouldn't quite suggest that for Viskulin and Scuderi quite yet. Kicking us off in the second round, we have Melina Marinova from Malta taking a 5 kilo jump to 120.
Optimize the conditions of this bar.
Just been asked to wipe down the bar there. It will happen automatically between every third attempt, but lifters and coaches can request it at any given time.
The bar is now loaded for Melina.
Helps get talc and chalk off of the bar, and also perhaps if a lifter needs a few extra seconds rest, it can be a tactical move. Very solid second attempt. Very patient with it as it slowed down during that midsection.
It is time for Marie Beglarashvili from Georgia. 130.
Yeah, she keeps bar proximity all throughout the lift.
Personal best.
And the crowd cheers on. She's going to need that crowd support for her third attempt.
Bar is loaded.
Marie Beglarashvili, 130, so be a 2.5 kilo personal best.
I'm not sure how a lift can be scrappy and easy at the same time, but it is. 3 white lights.
Sets a clutch from Georgia. Bar is loaded. Let's go, Mariam.
Mariam Tetskladze from Georgia, 137.5, a 7.5 kilo jump for a new personal best.
Slow and steady, 3 white lights.
And a good lift. It is now time for Maria Faruja from Malta.
But with the floor being the sticking point of some of these sumo, it's also pretty difficult to gauge how much she has left in the tank.
The bar is
Yeah, it depends on that
for
patience and
Maria.
that strength of the floor, which varies from lifter to lifter. Malta's own Maria Faruga, 140, a 10 kilo jump to match her personal best here. She is stormed in with intensity every lift of the day.
And with an open right hand, she secures the attempt. 3 white lights. Nice dab on the place. Thank you.
Boards loaded for Shabani Kanik, Great Britain, 145 kilos. New personal best attempt.
Shavari Karnik from Great Britain taking a 10 kilo jump to 145 for a 2.5 kilo personal best. We've seen her hit PBs, I believe, in both disciplines so far, so let's see where she ends up today. Already this would give her a 10 kilo total personal best on what she was nominated with. Ooh, a bit of trouble there for Shivari. Let's have a look at that again in the replay. It just seemed like perhaps she lost position a little bit and got a little bit tough. Maybe 10 kilos was too much of a jump. It's really quite hard to say. Just struggled above the knees there. Paola Santos from Spain, 147.5, a 10 kilo jump from her opener.
Is that a speed wobble at the top? Yeah, that's difficult. Because in the rulebook it says that the shoulders are allowed to sit down in the lift, so you can have upward shoulders and then sit down in the lift, but I think she tipped forward too much.
Yeah, she did tip forwards with her whole torso, unfortunately. Her face, you can tell immediately she knew what happened. Strength not an issue, so, you know, it's up to the discretion of her and the coaches where they go now. They can make up to 2 changes on their final deadlift. Oksana Motranchek from Ukraine, 150, 5 kilo jump from her opener, just 1.5 off her best. Very wide sumo stance here.
Three white lights, a good lift.
Next lifter, Nicola Murray, Barcelona.
Nicola Murray, Great Britain, 150 on the bar, 7.5 kilo jump for a 2.5 kilo personal best. Exhibits great patience there, and similar to opener, slower off the ground with a speedy lockout. It's 3 white lights, a good lift, and it looks like she's got some sort of physio K-tape on her arm, so I'm wondering if she came in with a bit of an injury or a niggle there. Performing very, very well.
And regarding a deadlift, the thing is, she's really sat down at the beginning of her deadlift, and that's why it makes for a slower start. But then it's super speedy at the top, so you would think she has more in the tank.
Now Inez Obo from France, 10 kilo jump, 162.5. Looks like she's likely to do a clean sweep of medals across the board today.
Still looking solid. 3 white lights. She needs another 5 kgs to match her PB total.
And it's worth noting as well, she weighed in the heaviest at 47 kilos on the dot, which means, you know, perhaps a tough weight cut, I don't know. But if even that was the case, it's not reflected at all in her performance. Marta Scuderi, 162.5, a 7.5 kilo jump to match her personal best.
Oh, she's still looking strong.
Yeah, and she seems pretty happy with that, at least at the end of the lift she did. Job's not done quite yet.
Yeah, because she knows that if everyone scores, she's not going to be in second position at the end of the round.
Yeah, and although you said Voskuilin's opener was a little less convincing than Scuderi, we've seen on her squat and her bench that actually she has quite a scrappy grind in her, and might be the case with deadlift as well. And it looks like Netherlands' Suhana Voskuilin has done exactly what we suspected in matching Scuderi, just at a lighter body weight, not looking to do too much extra, just enough to secure that silver overall. So let's see what the 165 in match PB looks like here. a little wobbly at lockout, but arguably about the same as the opener.
Yeah, I would agree. 3 white lights, so she retakes provisional second position. But now she's going to need a personal best to try and maintain that position. It's a different ballgame.
Yeah, it looks like she would have to pull for potentially deadlift gold in order to match Scuderi. Should Scuderi get that third and final attempt, they'll have a brief moment if she doesn't to put that down, should they choose to do so.
A side quest we could be paying attention to is Ines Serbo's final pull. Where is that gonna rank her in terms of good lift points? And overall in the competition, she's already standing strong on 110, which is massive. Can she make her case for her in the top 3 best lifters on the women's side?
Long week ahead, but she's certainly making a statement early on. And into our final round of deadlifts, Melina Marinova from Malta, 2.5 kilo jump, 122.5 for her final lift of the day.
It doesn't leave the ground. I think it was a bit disorganized. The bar moved all around. She couldn't find a proper positioning.
Yeah, and a 2.5 kilo jump, even for this weight class on deadlift, isn't so seen. So when we see a lifter take that, usually we'd expect they're closer to their top end. And we're seeing a few lifters opt for that here. And it sometimes just ends up being a 50-50 in terms of payoff. As I mentioned before, between each third attempt, the bar will be brushed down as part of the rule book to give the lifters the best opportunity they can possible. Marie Beglashvili from Georgia, 135 for a new personal best.
Yeah, and that brushing rule is so important. We've not seen it in this flight yet, but we have more and more lifters lifting with the hands on the smooth part of the bar. If residue of talc or baby powder on that part, is impossible to overcome. What a scrappy final pull from Marie. 3 white lights, new personal best of 5, 3 for 3 in the deadlift event. That's 317.5 in total.
Also from Georgia, Maria Sensklassen, 142.5 kilos to extend on her new personal best. The bar is loaded.
Mariam Techkladze from Georgia, 142.5, 5 kilo jump for a 5 kilo personal best to end the day. Lovely end to the day there.
Solid attempt selection, 3 white lights, and once again another 3 for 3 in the deadlift events. That's 307.5 in total.
Retaking 145 kilos. Previous lift, there was some issues in the lockout. The bar is loaded, let's make some noise for Shavari. Come on, you got this down.
Shavari Karnik from Great Britain retaking 145 here. Just seemed a bit like a strength issue on that second. I did say perhaps she lost her position. We'll see which way it falls through to.
And the 2 lifters shooting for 4th position are in the same position. They've missed their second for a different reason. Speed wobbles or strength. They are both retaking it in the 3rd round. Spain versus Great Britain for 4th position.
Yeah, you can sense a little bit of hesitance from Karnik there, and hopefully she can get her head in the game for this final pull of the day. Looks a lot better. Wow, a completely different lift.
That looked good to me. And the referee is saying it's 3 white lights. And a good lift for Great Britain.
Solid 3rd attempt. So she was nominated 5th. She broke her personal best squat, bench, total. She's now in 4th position, but forecasted in 5th to be overtook by the Spaniard later on if she manages 150.
Yeah, and the difference, as you said, between Karnik and Santos is Santos had a bit of a position loss at the top, but the speed was very good. So we'll see if she can just hold the lockout better this time round. 147.5 for Maria Frugia in Malta. Very new personal best.
You got this.
She's been looking amped up all day long. Does she still have the sufficient amount of energy to manage 147.5?
Manages to lock it out. Let's just wait for the lights from those referees. Yeah. Unfortunately, I was a little bit worried that she was using her legs to assist the bar there, which is what those blues would be for.
Yeah, ruling is supporting on the thighs by all three refs on the platform. You can clearly see the knees getting back and inflection under the bar, making for support of the thighs, so no lift.
Bar is loaded. Bravo, Paula.
Paula Santos 150, looking to pull herself into 4th overall, ahead of Karnik. Just had that wobble at the top of her second, but the strength seemed to be there.
Oh no! The grip that gives up on the bar last second. That was a new personal best of 4 in total in the 4th position. So she drops down 1 position. She was nominated 4th. She's right now in 5th position.
Yeah, and that only ends up being the case because her lot number is higher than Mochenchik, who's also going for the same total with the same body weight, who is out now 152.5. 2.5 kilo jump from her second. Perhaps feeling like she's at that top end with her deadlift.
Yeah, but still in that case, she's not being pushed by the 7th. I would have bumped up the attempt by 2.5. Just to pull for a position. And the thing is, she probably had it too.
Well, if we look here at her PB, it's 151.5, so perhaps looking to take home a new national record with that.
Yeah, possibly.
I
mean, a top 5 would have been nice. Still a very solid performance nonetheless.
Great Britain. The bar is loaded. 152.5.
Nicola Murray of Great Britain, 152.5 for a new personal best. End the day strong.
Expecting a slow start and hopefully an explosive lockout. Come on, make it move. It doesn't pass the knees.
Three lifters left. And when this starts, there are no more changes for the next group. Next lifter is Marta Scuderi from Italy.
3 lifters remaining. Marta Scuderi from Italy pulling for position for the time being, with Vasculin to follow. As suspected, Vasculin throughout the deadlifts has looked to match Scuderi's jumps. And she's the lighter of the two. 167.5 would mean that Vasculin would have to make that 3rd attempt, which would be a personal best, putting the pressure on. It also, for the time being, moves her into deadlift gold.
It's very much top end attempts for both of these lifters.
Wow. And that puts the pressure on the Netherlands to make that final attempt.
She's done her part. She's done her part. She's guaranteed on the podium. She's done everything she could on the day to try and surpass the Dutch. However, the Dutch is going to get the final say.
From Netherlands. 2 lifts left at 170 kilos. Bars loaded for Suhana from Netherlands.
Suhana Verschulen now from the Netherlands, 175 kilo jump, and this would take her and keep her in that silver position overall and give her deadlift gold.
Oh, she's had difficulty locking out, but I think she's done it. 3 white lights, a good lift. She surpasses Scuderi. She'll be the vice champion behind Helbo's solid performance out of Verschulen. A personal best of 14 kilos. Super solid.
Sits in overall gold. This lift will take her to silver for deadlift. The bar is loaded.
And our final pull of the day, your new European champion from France, Inès Aubot, 170 kilos on the bar. Already has collected gold overall. This is to end with silver deadlift medal.
Yeah, medals in every event. Not looking at deadlift gold, but looking at a personal best, both deadlift and total.
And that is a limit lift and just too much for Inès today. But what a day she's had regardless. Still walking away European champion.
Being the open European champion as the junior world champion, that's quite an achievement.
Absolutely. And that concludes the 47 kilo weight category. The first category done here at the European Championships. And in bronze for deadlift, Aubot. In silver, Scuderi. And in deadlift gold, we have Verschulen. But overall, your bronze medalist from Italy, Marta Scuderi. Your silver medalist from the Netherlands, Suhana Verschulen. And your new European champion from France, Inès Aubot.
We had a great class of 47s. The 59s have been solid too. We have 2 records to be solidified with a deadlift opener. The junior record in the bench press event at 152 for Gelashvili, and the open squat record of 240.5 for Antoine Garcia. And the deadlift starts with 180 for Dariusz Walle from Poland. Forecasted in 4th position, trailing by 2.5 at the end of this round if Santagelo scores his opener. Three white lights. He has it total secured on the board, 527.5.
Time for Kemal Ergin from Netherlands. Opening at 195.
Down to Kemal Ergin from the Netherlands, 195. Forecasted 5th, but still very much in the race for a podium finish because it's only 5 kgs in between the 5th, the 4th, and the 3rd on prognosis.
Yeah, it's going to be a close fight for that podium position. Easy looking opener there for Ergin.
3 by 5.
3 white lights. Once again, not as scrappy as the squad.
Now it's time for Georgi Gelashvili.
Now we've seen a couple of openers change in Jola, Gelashvili and Sant'Angelo, and that has shifted the board around a little bit as a result.
But still, from 3rd to 5th, it's super stacked. Right now we have Georgi Gelashvili, 200 kilos, the Georgian trying to secure his 2nd position with that opener and secure his record in the bench. And 3 white lights.
Yeah, 3 white lights, a good lift. It's interesting, he's got quite a wide grip on his conventional deadlift, which you tend to see a little more in the heavier weight classes.
It's interesting that you point that out because he's been looking at his hand as he walked away from the platform. Maybe he's changed his grip because he tore a callus or something in the warm-up room. Now to the Italian Jacopo Santagelo, 2:15. To provisionally surpass Sola Energen in the quest for the podium.
Wow, very speedy opener there for Sant'Angelo.
Yeah, blink and you miss it.
Good lift for Italy. Last
And after seeing those openers, it is still difficult to bet on who's gonna get that third position on the podium. Poland, Italy, Netherlands, I do not know. Final opener, 230 kilos for none other than Antoine Garcia. That would give him 6:05.5. Very much guaranteed the title here.
Yeah, I don't see a world that if he gets this opening attempt in, that anybody is taking that crown away from him. And I think he knows that, which is probably why he's taking a moment to steady himself here.
Securing that open squat record is also very important.
Yeah.
Grip has been an issue in the past. I'm being told that he has not had a single issue with grip this prep. Three white lights. The record is secured. I would tend to think that the title is secured with 6:05.5.
I think you're safe in saying that with a 43 kilo lead. I think he'll be fine.
Imagine if someone can make that jump.
I've seen some crazy jumps before, but I can't expect that from this weight class, I've got to say.
Yeah, the only person I'm expecting to take a 40 kg jump in the deadlift is probably Ashton Rushka, Bob Matthews and Jesus Olivares. Other than that, maybe Coco Clement. That's about it.
There's a good few handfuls, but I think the commonality we see between those is they're not 59 kilo lifters.
So as of right now, the podium positions in bronze, the Italian Sant'Angelo, I would tend to think secured in second, Gelashvili from Georgia, but we'll never know. And someone's going to get crowned European Open champion, Antoine Garcia, in first position. Of course, that third position on the podium is subject to change. We have Zola and Ergin shooting for it. But at the end of the round, if everyone secures their second attempt, it's going to be those same standings with Sant'Angelo in third, Sola in fourth, and Ergin in fifth.
187.5 kilos.
But we've seen second attempts being the determining pools for positions before.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's a slight variant in the jumps that we're seeing here for first, second. And we've been saying it the whole competition because it is such a short flight, particularly on deadlifts, which tends to be pretty taxing, and how that's going to affect them, especially when it comes to this final battle.
So it is now Darius Sola's turn to open the second round, 187.5, jump of 7.5.
Bars open. Let's go, Darius.
Three white lights, and with the amount of experience he has, I'm not expecting this guy to miss, but I don't think he's going to be taking that same jump.
Ergin from Netherlands.
Now into Kemal Ergin, the Dutch 2:05, jump of 10 kgs.
Just 2.5 kilos of his best deadlift here. definitely could be in a position to get a deadlift bronze. See what the jumps Galashvili make alike. Ergin's opener was very comfortable.
Nice and secure the hook grip on the bar. So lots of wiggle room. 3 white lights, a good lift.
Next up, Georgi Gelashvili.
With him forecasted in 5th, I still think he's a dark horse for the podium. I think he has a strong final pull on him, and he's going to be able to adjust and shoot for that position.
Sits in total silver position.
Now 210 for Georgi Gelashvili. PB attempt of 7.5 for 562.5 to further extend his vice champion position.
Yeah, could very well pick up a deadlift medal if all goes well, but like you said, I think the priority here is to end up as high in the leaderboard as possible.
3 white lights, a good lift.
He does just that. 3 white lights, a good lift.
Next, Jacopo Sant'Angelo from Italy.
This guy was nominated with 532.5. He's now 30 kilos above that with 1 more attempt to go.
Wow. And that's the rate of progression we love to see come in as a dark horse and really surprise us and shake up the leaderboard.
Now the Italian Jacopo Sant'Angelo, 225. 4 red plates in the collars, that's a milestone.
The bar is loaded for Jacopo.
Oh, that's shaky above the knees, but I think he manages to lock this one out properly. 2-1, a good lift.
1 red. It's a good lift.
Do you think that blue light from the right hand side is for downwards movement or supporting on the thighs?
Well, let's have a look at it again in the replay. Obviously, like we said, it's so close for those podium positions.
From France. Bar is loaded.
I think it looked okay to me, actually. I think it looked a bit scrappier live action.
Anton sits quite
The jury seem happy with it as well, but
both position, both
I fear if he missed that or it got overturned, he might have been out the race for podium anyway.
245 for Antoine Garcia, jump of 15. Still cruising below his personal best deadlift of 257.5. I don't think he's going to be in a position to attempt a record in the deadlift event, with the European record being 286. And the European total record 669.9. Is that the grip giving up on the bar on the right side?
I think he jumped the down command there. It seemed to put it down sooner than. Let's have a look at see if it was his grip just going and he chanced the down command. Like we said, the overall isn't.
Yeah, the right hand.
Yeah, his overall position isn't at risk, but.
Yeah, but he tried to meet the command because he started to give up on the bar.
Well,
in that case, what do you do? I mean, you don't bet on the bar to be brushed a bit more. You're going to go for that same attempt, right?
I think that seems sensible, especially, with such a lead. You want to end on a high. There's no need to take any risks now. If he thinks it's something that he can absolutely 100% fix, then fine, but grip is so fickle.
20 more seconds before we enter the third round of deadlifts. That's 20 seconds for us to thank one of our sponsors, ESN Elite Sports Nutrition. They've been providing goods for us, the media team, and they are going to be giving gifts and goodies to all of our lifters here. So huge shouts out to our sponsor, ESN Elite Sports Nutrition. The clock has ticked down. The minute went by quickly. We're now loading 192.5 for Dariusz Sola from Poland. He's forecasted in 5th position at the end of the round. We know that this is not what he was looking for. As of right now, is 4th. This wants to surpass Sant'Angelo. He'll rely on everyone to miss if he wants to maintain that third position, if he gets this one, which is not guaranteed. A lot of ifs for Darius in his podium quest.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you said, Sant'Angelo is still to follow Shola at the lightest body weight.
That's a proper third attempt. 3 white light. Yes, he's done it. He's done his part. He lifted every kilo possible in the deadlift event. As of right now, he's in third position. But Sant'Angelo and Erdin on to pull after that.
217.5 kilos loaded up. Will be an extension of his new personal best.
Yeah, Georgi Gelashvili, the Georgian, 217.5 to further extend his personal best. That would give him a 37.5 kg PB total. That's insane from one competition to the other. He'll be vice champion. That's already guaranteed. A very solid day. He couldn't maintain the lockout. Too much of an effort. No lift, but still a 30 kg improvement on his total.
Yeah, and
the silver medal overall.
Yeah, and it looks like Sant'Angelo has a potential placeholder in. It'll be interesting to see what they go for there, as bronze isn't secured. They're going to push for silver or try to capture the bronze.
I mean, if you want to believe it, guys, 250 at 25 kg jump for Sant'Angelo. That seems like a big ask, but who knows? Maybe he can pull up a magic trick. Now Kemal again, 222.5. We knew he could pull off a big pull at the end. His PB is 207.5. He's now jumping 17.5 to go for both bronze medal, deadlift and total. For Zola to be guaranteed off the podium for a provisional podium finish, with Sant'Angelo to pull after him. He needs to do his part of the job. Oh, he stalls midway up.
Now that is somewhat surprising. It was a big jump, but he's been looking really quick on his deadlifts, which, as expected, seen a temp change come in from Italy.
Yeah, so again is guaranteed in 5th. Italy and Sant'Angelo are going to adjust what they're shooting for. They drop down to 227.5 to just surpass Usola. That would give him 542.5, while Usola is staying strong at 540 on the podium. 2.5 kgs on the total could be the difference from the podium or out the podium.
The bar is loaded for Italy. Let's go.
There we go. The penultimate pull, one for the podium. Just a 2.5 kg jump, well within reason for Sant'Angelo, but everything needs to go right, and everything could go wrong.
Manages to hold on to it to the very last minute.
He rises to the occasion. He's going to be on the podium.
The very last lifter in this session is Antoine Garcia.
One final pull for the risk taker, Antoine Garcia, the European champion here in St. Julian's, Malta. He'll be reigning over Europe in 2026. He's attempting 252.5, a jump of 7.5 after missing 245 on what looked like a grip issue. So was it more rather than a setup issue at the end rather than a grip issue? We'll see. Once again, no grip issue during prep. How does he adapt on the day? He's a true champion. He's been champion of the world. He's been vice champion multiple times. He's been European champion. He's the European champion this year. But I know he'll be disappointed if it doesn't walk away with that deadlift.
Manages to hold on to it this time, it seems. And it pays off. Like I said, he would have had to be very, very confident in his grip if he wanted to go up. And he was, and it paid off.
And salute to you too, Antoine. You are the European champion here in St. Julian's, Malta. That was a very solid performance out of him. He walks away with a deadlift gold, followed by Santagalo in silver and Gelashvili in bronze. These are the deadlift standing, but final standings in the class. Compared to the nomination, Italy drops down a position. Jacopo is in bronze with 542.5. Vice champion, improving his total by 30 kilos, is Gelashvili from Georgia, 562.5. And your new 26 European champion, Antoine Garcia from France, with 628 and a new open world record in the squat event. What a first flight. We'll be back for the medal ceremony in just about 2 to 3 minutes, hopefully, if the athletes can gather up quickly. Other than that, the second flight of the day starts at 4 in the afternoon. Second flight being the 52s and the 66s. Excited for that one. We'll be back, hopefully you too. See you then.
See you then.
and the EPF Treasurer, Xavier de Putorac. Participation by Sandro Rossi as well. Beautiful medals for this championship. Not only that, you will also get a goodie bag from ESN. Thank you very much. Well done to all of you. We are now going to give out the medals for the individual lifts, starting with squat, of course. Squat bronze goes to Suhanna Boyskulien from Netherlands. Please step up on this brand new fine podium. 135 kilos squat today. Squat silver goes to Marta Scuderi from Italy. 137.5 today. And squat gold to Ines Herbo from France. 147.5 kilos. Thank you very much, guys. You have done amazing. We're moving on to the bench press medals. And bench press bronze goes to Suhanna Boyskulien from Netherlands. 75 kilos. And bench press silver to Paula Santos Mediavilla from Spain. 77.5 kilos. Bench press gold goes to Ines Herbo from France. 90 kilos today. Thank you so much, guys. And now for the deadlift medals. Deadlift bronze goes to Ines Herbo from France. 162.5 kilos. It's starting to get heavy now with all these medals. Bench press silver goes to Marta Scuderi from Italy. 167.5. And bench press gold. Suhanna Boyskulien from Netherlands with 170 kilos today. Well done, thank you very much. And now for the total podium. Our bronze medalist today is Marta Scuderi from Italy, 308 kilos. Silver medalist, Suhanna Boyskulien from Netherlands. 380 kilos as well, lighter on body weight. And our gold medalist and European champion champion in the 47 kilo category is no one less than Ines Herbor from France with a 400 kilo total today. Please all stand up for the national anthem of France. Thank you very much, everyone. You can move back and then follow the technical controller off the platform again as we give you a big round of applause. Congratulations to all for making it here, for participating. We hope that we'll see you again in some other championship. Maybe here, maybe somewhere else. You've all done amazing. Thank you very much. Now, we hope that the 59 kilo men are ready for their medals. Okay, here they are. Big round of applause for the 59 kilo men as they come out on the platform. Let's go. Congratulations for your participation. You will be given participation medals. They're beautiful. By Björn Åstad, IPF President. Xavier de Putorac, Treasurer IPF. Sandro Rossi from the Italian Federation. And you are also being given a goodie bag from ESN. Thank you very much. Now for the individual lift medals. Squats. Squat bronze goes to Jacopo Sant'Angelo from Italy with a 200 kilo squat today. Squat silver to Dariusz Wesola from Poland, 205 kilos. And squat gold goes to Antoine Garcia from France. Not only was it a gold medal, but it was also a world record. 240.5 kilos. Thank you very much, guys. Now for the bench press medals. Bench press bronze goes to Kemal Ergin from Netherlands. 142.5 kilos today. Bench press silver to Dariusz Sola from Poland. Also to 142.5 kilos lighter body weight. And our bench press gold medalist is Georgi Gelashvili from Georgia, 152.5 kilos. Thank you very much. For the deadlift medals, deadlift bronze goes to Georgi Gelashvili from Georgia with a 210 kilo deadlift. Deadlift silver, Jacopo Sant'Angelo from Italy, 227.5 kilos. And the deadlift gold goes to Antoine Garcia from France, 252.5 kilos. Thank you very much. Now for the total podium. Bronze medalist today is Jacopo Sant'Angelo from Italy, 542.5 kilos total today. Silver medalist Georgi Gelashvili from Georgia, 562.5 kilos. And our gold medalist today, European champion in the 59 kilo category, Antoine Garcia from France, 628 kilos. Please all stand up for the national anthem of France. Thank you very much. Congratulations. Please now follow the technical controller off the platform. Give the guys one last round of applause for their participation in this European Championship here in Malta 2026.